Hello, what nuts, Humpty Dump nuts, and total eclipse of the Hannah Hunt nuts. It is Tuesday, April 9th, U.S., and this is What Chaos. I am DJ Bean, that is Pete Blackburn, and over there is a man named Sean. Leave politics out of this. DePaz. Hi, Sean, how are your politics?
Politicking.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How are your candidates doing?
You a big Sarah Palin guy? Huge?
Ever since she told me she could see Canada from her house, I was all in.
That's foresight.
I actually did. I don't know why I didn't think of this when you were talking about the movie that you saw recently. I had like a very vivid nightmare of the world ending last night.
I saw Civil War last night to fill people in.
Yeah,
but
fair enough. But yeah, very vivid dream. It's very weird to me how the world just expects you to like live life for like as far as I was concerned, that was real. The world was ending, and then I just had to wake up and go about my normal life.
Let's get into politics real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would Sarah Palin be the hottest person to ever hold office in the United States?
In the entire United States, I doubt it.
In like the White House.
I mean,
JFK was hotter
Yeah,
than Sarah
JFK was
Palin.
very hot.
And I mean, if we're
Ronald
going, like-
Reagan, good-looking guy.
he was an
I mean,
actor.
like-
I mean, he was. The problem
He
is
was
that most
old,
presidents
yeah.
are old at the time. Like young Biden was a smoke show.
Yeah.
I think Obama is
you
up
have
there.
to count like in the time of holding
exactly.
office.
So when Obama went in, he was hot.
Yeah,
Nobody aged like Obama did
agreed.
in their two terms, but Obama went in hot.
Yeah, I
I would
agree.
not say Sarah Palin would be the
at
hottest.
the time the
not
bar.
say?
No.
At the time,
Definitely
the
not.
bar was very
Oh,
low.
I disagree.
Though. Like the
You think that Sarah Palin,
Yeah.
if at any point entering office, was hotter than JFK?
I mean, it's hard for me to compare because like
the problem with Sarah Palin is that I think she revealed herself as kind of being dumb pretty early on, and that ruins it a little bit.
we're not talking about like overall attractiveness. Talking
Yeah,
about
but
hotness.
I mean,
Let
for
me look
me,
up JFK real quick.
it kind of all factors in together. Like JFK, the thing with JFK is that like JFK was a sex symbol. Like he was like you could say Sarah Palin's hot, but like JFK was.
I'm gonna be
like,
honest with you.
Sexy.
JFK wasn't that hot.
Probably not, but it's different. It's a different kind of hot.
RFK
this
way
is-
hotter than JFK.
It's a different kind of hot. Like it's like
the
a
whole
power thing.
right.
Yeah.
And it's like he's rich. He's like the all-American
And
boy.
he's that
He's
good
not
old
like-
New Englander.
He's really not that physically hot.
I think that we're time traveling though, and we're dropping JFK
Yeah,
into
maybe.
now. That's
Yeah.
like saying that like Bobby Orr sucks. Because he would get fucking smoked if he played in the NHL right now.
I don't know. I watch old movies and I'm like, oh, JFK would get smoked by like a lot of people I've seen from that time.
Yeah,
you know
but-
who would get smoked by a lot of people from now?
Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin.
Yeah, but like
But again, this is not like we're talking about politics. Like when you're putting it in the context, it's just like it's not like Sarah Palin's on stage with Zendaya. Like
Yeah, fair.
like it's upstage with a bunch of other old white people.
yeah, it's a low bar of
So
competition.
like when you put it in that
fair.
context and then you add the power element to it.
Somebody asked if Civil War is an A or an A minus. It's an A minus, and I need to do a lot more thought on the rest of it. It is a heart-wrenching movie. As soon as you begin the movie, you're like, all right, which of these people are going to die? I bet a lot of them. And it's not about the two sides just fighting, though. It is about a group of journalists trying to cover a civil war that theoretically could be taking place in however many years.
So it's like Godzilla versus one, where it's not
Exactly.
about the monster, it's about the people.
It's about specifically like three journalists.
Okay.
I
They're
didn't know it was about journalists. That is very intriguing to me.
yeah. It's like a hypothetical spotlight.
Are they going to show that movie in like journalism classes?
I don't know. I think that you're like, hey, this is what journalism is going to look like. Hey, this is set. They don't say when it's set in the future, but you're guessing probably like 20-ish years or something. And there are like Reuters still exists. The New York Times still exists. I was wondering as I was watching it, I was like, are there this many journalists that are like getting paid to do stuff
Like in this point in time?
Yeah.
I don't know. That would be. I feel like it'd be a lot of I mean, if a civil war is going on, like where are you getting money from, anyways? Like I feel like you're doing it for the greater good.
And it's established that like money doesn't fucking matter once all that shit is going on.
Interestingly enough, I started playing a video game last night that takes place 20 years from now.
What video game?
Battlefield 2042. I started playing it last night, and like the whole concept of it is basically the world falls apart, and now it's just the U.S. and Russia at war, which is obviously not a civil war, but
it's a cold war.
I think the world's coming to an end.
I think so too.
It's been on my mind a lot.
There's an impending thing that
it's been on my mind a lot.
Impossible to escape.
Did you guys care about the fact that there was an earthquake and a solar eclipse in a short period from each other?
I joked with my friends like, "Oh, world might be ending," but I didn't actually care.
Like, I know that it did upset some people, and if this took place a million years ago, then we'd be freaking out a lot more.
Well, that's what I was telling you yesterday.
I'm cool with the world ending on like natural causes.
Depends, yeah.
Like if there's an earthquake that splits the world in half and we all just like fall into a black hole and die, cool. That's nature taking its process.
Yeah,
But if like somebody drops a nuke and fucks up the entire world,
we're gonna do it to ourselves.
I think that would be better as long as I'm like in the immediate blast area. Like just vaporize me. I don't want to because like the nightmare that I had last night was very unsettling because it was like. I was just going about my normal life, and all of a sudden, like I was in a mall, and then shit like hit the fan, and everyone sprinted outside of the mall, and it was basically like an invasion. And now I was living in this like whole new world all of a sudden, and that I don't like. Like the idea of my world just getting turned upside down. Now I have to live like that. No,
that was something that I feared with the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah,
where I was like, wait. What happens when people run out of money? What happens when people run out of food? And I think that what makes things like The Walking Dead so scary or whatever. And Civil War, the movie has a bit of this aspect to it, is it's not about like the cause and all these things. It's about the fact that a lot of people are fucked. And now it just becomes people versus people.
Yeah.
And if there's a civil war going on, it's not necessarily my side versus your side. It's my whole town doesn't have food right now.
Well, every man for
we got to do some shit to get this food. That's the stuff that I don't want.
Yeah, that's what the Battlefield is kind of about. Like it involves like climate change going crazy, and then basically like fires take over Central Europe and just force refugees everywhere, and like that's the kind of shit I'm a little worried about.
To the chat, I was going to overlook it, but yes, Pete did suggest the Earth was flat.
Did he?
When he said, if we drop a nuke in the middle of the world and then like we just all like...
No, I said
if it cracks down the middle and then like we all just slide in.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean,
we don't know for sure. Okay?
And I mean, if
the world is split down the middle, then like it's sending the two half spheres into pandemonium, and maybe you're just falling off there.
I gotta follow this lead.
I want the sun to explode. Because like that's one of those ones where you look up and you're like, oh shit, it's dark.
I want the sun to explode.
And then it's over. Then it's probably over in a few minutes.
Damn, dark out, huh?
We have one bad NHL slate, and we spend 15 minutes on
we haven't even gotten to.
Sean wants the sun to explode.
We haven't even gotten to the chit chat. By the way, I did an AMA on Twitter yesterday. Somebody asked, "Do I prefer grab ass or chit chat?" I said, "For sure, grab ass." Chit chat is this sort of thing where it's you talk about whatever things people would be talking about. Grab ass is when we find ourselves in some ridiculous situation and talking about God knows what. And I feel that grab ass makes me laugh more.
Grab ass definitely, yeah.
Grab ass to chit chat. I monitor as a host and timekeeper stopwatch boy. But grab ass is free to go where it wants to go.
Chit chat has filibustering energy. Where it's like, okay, we got to do 5 minutes before we start the show. Let's chit chat. But then if we latch onto something, it becomes grab ass.
Well, I'll tell you what, because the slate sucked so much, I can say we didn't even get to what I thought the chit chat would be, which was how was everybody's Eclipse experience?
Pretty solid.
Sean, I think, won.
I did.
We ordered. Oh, don't fucking flex on me. I ordered some fucking Eclipse glasses, and Amazon went crazy fucking me. Did not deliver them, so I didn't have glasses.
Maybe you ordered the fraudulent ones.
I did look up.
Maybe, maybe it was a sign.
Yeah, maybe we were saved by it. I ran out to try to find some last minute ones. Couldn't find them. Tell you what, I just fucking peaked.
Did you?
I
You
was
raw
taking.
dogged it?
Yeah.
Raw dogged it?
So I got to take these off because what you don't realize when you're wearing Eclipse glasses and not looking at the sun is that they are just blackout glasses.
Everything it's blacked out.
So
yeah.
I can't see anything. But I at first didn't have glasses, so I was doing a little bit of I was sitting on a bench facing the sun, doing a little like just kind of looking up, taking peeks, and then I walked back and a woman handed me glasses, so I got to actually.
Can blind people see the eclipse? If like you wear blackout glasses and you can see the eclipse?
No, the blackout glasses are just blocking like every ray except for some. Blind people don't have vision.
Yeah, but I mean, they got nothing to lose by looking and trying.
I do wonder because like there are people who are like partially blind. Like I remember former governor of New York. We had a blind governor at one point, and if I remember correctly, his description was that it was like looking through a straw, basically. Like he had very, very, very little vision. So I wonder stuff like that.
Well, the last thing I'll say on the eclipse and everything is that the eclipse was not the winner of yesterday. The winner was that it was fucking beautiful out, and this is the best time of year, which is when the weather gets warm, but the earmuffs, everybody, the plants aren't spunking all over the place and fucking up everyone's allergies. I rollerbladed 1,000,000 fucking miles yesterday. 1,000,000 miles. Everywhere I could rollerblade, I rollerbladed. It was the best.
Yesterday we had big like schools out. It's summer vibes. Like I went yesterday, just did a little running around, driving with my windows down, got some Chipotle. Had a slight microaggression towards me at a CVS, which was fun.
Oh, yeah.
You saw
that
my
was
tweet?
great. Yeah.
Wait, what?
It was kind of a joke, but I went to CVS to get a lighter, and they had like, it was not like a gas station. I got to give this woman a little bit of credit. It wasn't a gas station where you have like the box of like 20 just single lighters. It was like one of those hanging rack things where they had 2 packs of lighters, and I was like, I don't care which one. And she grabbed one of the ones near the top. She definitely could have grabbed another one, but she grabbed the one near the top. That was a watermelon lighter, and I was just like, "Okay, Catherine." But it was not. It was definitely like she definitely didn't mean anything by it. It was just
Also,
very funny.
was that
to me
a
in the moment.
regular sized lighter, or was it a mini lighter?
It was a regular size lighter.
You have ginormous hands.
I do have big hands.
You
yes.
have ginormous.
Do you have big hands?
I do. I
Let me
have big
see- let
hands,
me
long
see that.
arms.
He's got
You have. I was gonna
some
say I
big-ass
can stretch
hands.
mine a good
Like
bit,
I can
but
palm a basketball.
He posted a picture of him holding the lighter, and it looked like a fucking mini lighter.
wow.
I did not
Shout out
bring
to,
the story up to flex up in my
shout out
Well,
to Sean.
After all of that, we watched hockey, and the Pittsburgh Penguins got the point that they needed to, I don't know, move up 1 point, stay in the mix. 2 would have done them very well. They entered last night able to leapfrog. Who could they have leapfrog? The Capitals, correct?
I can't even keep track of these fucking bozos.
No,
right
they
now.
could have gone ahead of the Red Wings. Instead, by forcing overtime against the Maple Leafs in the third period, they got a point. They now have 84 points, which is as many as the second wild card team in the East, Red Wings, have. But the Red Wings have a game in hand. However,
The game in hands don't fucking matter because all these teams just lose all the time.
that is true. Games in hand also make it tough to track what's actually going on. For example, the Oilers right now, 5 points behind the Canucks.
Yeah.
And the Oilers control the Pacific Division.
Because they have 2 games in hand?
They have 2 games in hand and play the Canucks.
Yeah, so that's why I don't get super into seeding this time of year because there's so many things to keep track of, and I don't have the brain capacity for it. But where do we want to start? We want to talk about the Pens?
Just that the Penguins, I guess, are still alive. There were some interesting things that happened in that Maple Leafs game, I suppose. And the Maple Leafs, I don't know, like, are the Maple Leafs still... They're playing for home ice against the Panthers, probably.
Yeah, they can theoretically pass the Panthers. They're 3 points back of Florida with a game in hand. So Florida not been good recently.
No, Florida has stunk down the stretch.
Yeah.
And do the Maple Leafs even play the... Yeah, the Maple Leafs play the Panthers second to last game of the season. Maple Leafs remaining schedule. They have 5 games left. At New Jersey, home against New Jersey, home against Detroit, at Florida, at Tampa. So Maple Leafs could end up having home field in that one.
But
we want
I mean,
Florida.
like it's essentially just locked that Florida is going to play Toronto at this point.
I think that at this point is doing heavy lifting right now because I feel that the playoff picture is going to shake up so much more in the final few days because, as you said,
the Bruins would have to like crumble.
No. Like it should be that.
Yeah.
But what I was saying was that all these teams are fucking up and moving around so much still that Bruins will get the top seed, even if it might end up kind of fucking them.
You take like 2 days off from watching hockey at this point, and you come back, and the standings are so different. I learned that like a week ago when I had like a wedding, and I came back, and I was like, "What the fuck? The Capitals are in, and the Red Wings have fallen out." None of this makes any sense. But one of the things that happened last night was Austin Matthews scoring, hitting 65 goals.
Yep.
And now he's on pace for 71.
71 goals, which we'll talk Hart in a little bit, but even if he doesn't have a lot of points, he only has 102, the horror. I think that certain things should fucking stand for something. You know, like you score 70 goals, you gotta have...
You think it's like an automatic bid like in college basketball?
Yeah, or like Chris Knobloch for Jack Adams. Like, if you win your fucking loaded ass division
after starting the season, like
you
0-20.
took over a team that was in like second to last place or something like that.
Yeah,
that should be an automatic, at least finalist. And I think I'm starting to feel that maybe Austin Matthews deserves a little more than he's getting. But we'll talk Hart in a second. Is there anything else interesting about the Penguins right now, or are we just fucking waiting to see what they do?
I mean, I don't know. Do we want to get into the 3-2-1 points thing? Because that was an interesting discovery before we started the show, and that involves the Penguins.
I was going to be a little later, but we can do that if you want.
Let's just do that now.
Okay.
So before the show, we were doing a little research and just kind of fleshing out the Eastern Conference wildcard picture as best as we could, because it's impossible to flesh out at this point. But as just a basic exercise, I like looking at the 3-2-1 point system and seeing how it would change things. I looked up the 3-2-1 point system just to look at how it would affect the Eastern Conference wildcard, and the results kind of wild, because if the NHL went with a 3-2-1 point system, which, to bring you up to speed, regulation win would get you 3 points, an overtime win would get you 2 points, and an overtime loss or a shootout loss would get you 1 point. The way that would change the picture right now is not that it would provide any separation from these bozo teams hanging around. It would bring more teams into the fold and get them closer. With a 3-2-1 point system, the second wild card spot right now would be a 5-way tie between the Washington Capitals, the Detroit Red Wings, the New York Islanders, the New Jersey Devils, the Philadelphia Flyers, and then 1 point behind them would be the Buffalo Sabres. So a 3-2-1 point system would essentially bring more teams into the fold and bring like at least one team back from the dead in Buffalo.
There are at least 2 teams there that we shouldn't even be thinking about. So this is a strike against the 3-2-1 point system, and it's something that I very much am interested in and will tolerate at various points. If you tell me that the New Jersey Devils and Buffalo Sabres are in the playoff mix as a result of whatever playoff structure, I say it's time to not do that playoff structure.
I see your point, and in a way, you're right. But the current point structure, the 2-1 point structure, the whole thing behind that, in the NHL propping it up, is saying that it creates additional parity for the league, which is good for the league. In this case, it's working in the opposite direction. The 3-2-1 point system would bring more teams into the fold. I
would say this is good only because none of those teams are good. So, like, I understand
So
why.
could you repeat that?
I think this is good because none of those teams are good. Like,
I thought you said none of those teams aren't good. I was
no.
buddy, we just showed a list of teams that aren't good.
No, none of those teams are good, which is like you mentioned that, like, talking about teams that we shouldn't be talking about, but it's like, are you really going to argue that like the Capitals are really better than the Buffalo Sabres? Like, I feel like it makes a race of teams that are not that good that much more interesting.
I do think that this year is a bit of an outlier and that there's so many shitty teams.
Also fair.
In a normal season, a 3-2-1 point system probably would create more separation between the deserving and the bag of shit. Unfortunately, this year there's a extra large bag of shit. But an interesting takeaway from this exercise is that of all teams, the Pittsburgh Penguins seem to be getting screwed because they would be third in the Metro under a 3-2-1 point system and not the New York Islanders.
Which I would rather. I would rather see the Penguins in the playoffs than the Islanders. Sure. Islanders, again, I think Islanders have some elements where I said they could be like the Los Angeles Kings of the East, not rulers of the East, where maybe they end up being a tough out if their centers kick it into high gear and everything. But when you see a season of a team kind of stinking, you're not going to be the Florida Panthers and just like flip the switch late. So I don't want to see the Islanders in there. Also, what you're talking about with the 3-2-1, I feel only really applies to the East this year because so much of the East, there is parity because it's a line from really good teams, and like a bunch of mid / kind of sucky teams. Whereas in the Western Conference, there's awesome teams and there are bad teams. Like, I don't think you'd be worried about, no offense, Sean, the Coyotes, the Ducks, the Blackhawks, the Sharks working their way into the mix. Whereas you got the Sabres, who are 7th in the wild card in the current structure, pushing for a playoff spot there. It's just because so many teams in the East are pretty bad.
Yeah, I think that ultimately that's kind of the grand takeaway is that regardless of whatever point structure you had, there is so much mid in the Eastern Conference that they're unable to separate themselves from each other regardless of how you structure the standings. They'll always find a way to kind of regress back to just being mid.
You know what I'll always find a way to do? I will always find a way to jump on Prize Picks. And I can do that as long as I got my phone in my hand or any sort of device, really. I don't know if you could pull it off on an Apple Watch, but maybe you could. You're not playing against sharks. You try to fire it up while I'm doing this read.
Okay.
We saw last night the thrilling conclusion.
No Prize Picks on the Apple Watch.
So that shows why Prize Picks is better than Apple Watches.
Prize Picks is just too big for the Apple Watch.
That's true.
That's right. You can't fit.
Too much.
I also don't use my Apple Watch to anywhere near its capabilities.
Oh, same.
I look at it like it tells time. And it tells me when I have a text message.
Only
That's
reason
literally
I have
all I use it
It's
for.
the most comfortable watch I've ever worn. That's the only reason
I just got a walking pad for the playoffs, and it was loaned to me by a friend who was like, "Don't buy a walking pad. These are the things that people buy, use for a month, and then don't use. Use it for a month during the playoffs, and then just like give it back to me or light it on fire or like throw it at somebody. Give it to Morgan Wallen. I'm sure he knows what to do with it." I got Morgan Wallen thoughts after this. But last night we saw the conclusion to what was really a very, very solid March Madness. No, Sean? Both sides, really good.
Yeah. I mean, like...
The women smoked the men.
Yeah,
but someone's got to be better.
Someone's got to be better. But yeah, no, it was... I fucking hate UConn, but they're legit. They're a fun program.
I was enjoying this whole run on both sides, men's and women, using Prize Picks, the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks who are just trying to take a bite out of your earnings. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and you just watch the winnings roll in. They got something for every sports fan, whether you want basketball, hockey, League of Legends.
Hell yeah, brother.
It's very, very good for League of Legends people. So I recommend you use Prize Picks, and you do that by going to prizepicks.com/whatchaos and using code whatchaos for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
And if you don't want to play some daily fantasy and instead you just want to be a purist and go to the game, guess who's got you covered? Our pals at Game Time, because it is the only ticketing app that we use. It's so easy to use. They're obsessed with saving you money, and we're huge fans of kind of their transparency, if you want to call it that, because their all-in pricing leaves no questions, no stones unturned. You know exactly what you're paying at checkout, and that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, even an hour after it starts, because that's when you get like the real good deals. If you don't care about maybe the first 10 minutes, maybe the first period, you want to get the best deal possible, after puck drop, get some great deals. Also, they got zone deals. You pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, not just your money back, extra money in your pocket. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHAOS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHAOS, CHAOS, if you can't spell, and that's $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Fun game. What's cheaper right now on Game Time? Potential Eastern Conference final preview, Boston Bruins, Carolina Hurricanes, or home opener for the Boston Red Sox?
By far, it would be the home opener for the Boston Red Sox.
By far, no. But it is the Boston Red Sox by $4. You can get into the Boston Bruins game tonight for $59.
What?
Damn.
Yeah. Against Jake Gensel?
Woo.
Did Seth Jarvis suffer some
$59.
laceration I didn't know about?
Against the Stanley Cup
That's what I'm saying.
favorite
Potential Eastern
Carolina
Conference
Hurricanes?
ECF preview.
I might just go to that. Sean,
thinking
after discussing how nice the weather is,
Let's go inside. Let's go
we
watch
were discussing
sports inside.
how just we both came in such amazing moods. We were like, "Hey, son will do that for you, buddy." We hugged. We learned a new secret handshake.
Yep.
We gave our thoughts on the J.Cole-Kendrick Lamar spat. Decided they both seem like really good guys. It was just all a bunch of
I'll tell
sunny,
you
positive
what, though,
stuff.
J. Cole looked like a real bitch.
Oh yeah, no, it also
He looked like a real bitch in that whole
I
thing.
think,
I respect the I'm gonna be a bigger man and like I'm not gonna.
But that's not
I'm
what he was
gonna fight.
doing.
That's not what he was doing. He was like, I just don't want to get into a battle with Kendrick Lamar because he's gonna fucking smoke me.
I give J. Cole a little bit of credit. I do think that is like the kind of guy he is, where it's like he really respects Kendrick Lamar. So
You can't start shit and then when somebody
didn't start it.
responds,
He did not start it. No, Kendrick has little he is got a Napoleon complex a little bit. J. Cole said that they were a big three, and then all of a sudden Kendrick was like, "Big three, fuck you, I'm the greatest of all time." So he was being nice, and then Kendrick got all pissy about it, and then J. Cole felt like he needed to shoot back. I think J. Cole, nice guy, but I forgot who said this on Twitter, but they were like, J. Cole, he's great guy, I get it, but I never want to hear him in a conversation of being the greatest.
What was the guest verse that Kendrick did like maybe like 10 years ago, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, where he was just like
Bad
very
Blood.
unsolicited. What's that?
Bad Blood.
Yes, it was Bad Blood by Taylor Swift. No, like
That's my
very
favorite Kendrick
unsolicited
feature.
was basically like, I'm the only fucking real one. Everybody else here is a bunch of fucking assholes. I forget what it
I don't know.
It was a big like news story, and it was like Kendrick Lamar acknowledges that he's better than everybody else. Kendrick does that sometimes. You are right. I will say I feel lightly. Pete knows this about me. Sometimes I'll have a take and a thought, and I'm like, am I crazy for thinking this? Am I out on a ledge? And then like at some point that becomes a common thought, and I'm like, I think everyone else is wrong now. And now I think that like I don't want to have this take anymore. I was very like, hey, I'm gonna let you guys all love J. Cole. I don't totally see it. I don't love J. Cole. I like some of his stuff. He's not my favorite. Now it's just like socially acceptable to think that J. Cole sucks, which I don't think he sucks, but everyone's like, yeah.
I am with you on that. Up until like for most of like college and like high school.
Control.
Yeah. For most of like college and high school, I was like, J. Cole is one of the most overrated rappers out there. But then he started then he put out music that I really liked, and then that's when everyone started being like, he's overrated. I was like, what? How did that happen?
Yeah, this sucks. You're right, buddy.
Like, I don't know. The thing that gets left out of this whole conversation is that Future is like the most overrated rapper in the history of music, but
Future,
that's a whole different conversation. People treat Future
I feel
like he's
anytime
like
you
one of
jump
the
on a
goats.
track with
Ryan, dude, sorry.
anytime you jump on a song with Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran, I feel like you lose a lot of credibility of your Future.
Yeah, that's fair.
Future, yeah.
They just weren't ready for it. Future is discussed as though he is one of the GOATs. Ryan Clark did like, to my hip hop heads out there, if you could only listen to 3 artists for the rest of your life, who'd it be? In so many of the responses,
people say Future.
I was looking.
It's crazy.
I did like I'm a fucking white guy who grew up in the 90s, so I just did like a Control F Nas to see where my like 90s people were. Like 2 people said Nas.
People don't listen to Nas. People don't listen to Nas, really.
I mean, I know this from Lonzo Ball. Remember when Lonzo Ball was like, I forget who he said was better than. He said like somebody ridiculous was better than Nas. He said like fucking.
I remember, but I don't remember who it was, but yeah.
He said like Boat was better than Nas or something. Like, it was something ridiculous. But
like people, kids don't listen to Nas.
Kids don't listen to Nas.
Lil Wayne is like my generation's Nas. Like
Lil Wayne is an acceptable answer, though.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Future is like I just genuinely don't get it. Future has been carried by Drake his entire career, basically, and then
Lil Wayne's an acceptable answer because he like dominated an entire generation.
Yeah, he is like one of the greatest, and he has like a very distinct rap style. Like he I think is like the greatest to ever do that like punchline. Like
like the one-liner kind
like
of things.
Real G's moving silence like lasagna. Like that's one of the greatest single lines in hip hop history. It's hilarious.
Amazing. Did you see the guy? I think he was speaking to like a German audience or something. He was explaining why that's such a great lyric. And obviously we understand why Real G's moving silence like lasagna. Like when you first time you hear it, you're like, wow, that's great. He was explaining it to English speakers who like don't speak English the way that we speak English.
Yeah.
And it makes it even more amazing.
A scholarly breakdown of a one-liner.
I wrote an entire paper on a Kendrick Lamar song in high school, and it's one of the greatest, or in college, it's one of the greatest single papers I've ever written.
What song?
The Black of the Berry.
Amazing.
Great. It's great.
Hypocrite.
Yep.
Amazing.
I'm the biggest
song.
hypocrite.
That was, you got to remember, that was released pre To Pimp a Butterfly. That was one of the singles.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck
Yeah.
does this guy have coming?
Yep.
You should. So The Black or the Berry was like one of the obviously more aggressive songs on that album. But my friend Julian, who is like a music and especially like hip hop savant, has just like amazing reads on everything. And he theorized that the cover of To Pimp a Butterfly was basically foreshadowing Damn, being like, hey, like this is the album that I'm going to use to get like rap on the White House lawn. And I'm gonna come like the next, like once I've infiltrated and all of white America and everybody has accepted me and given me Nobel Prizes and everything, like you're gonna be fucking stuck with me and I'm gonna rap my ass off. And that's what he did on Damn.
Damn is one of the most impressive albums of all time because
Damn's very good.
It is very commercial, but it is also like it's legit music. He like managed to toe that line.
First time I heard Humble, I thought it was whack.
Really?
I thought the beat was extremely whack.
Man.
I liked it, but I don't think it like rates on that album at all.
To Pimp Butterfly is his best though. To be
I think so too. I will say I don't think he gets enough shit for how crazy it is to conclude an album with like a 5-minute fake conversation with Tupac. That's just an insane thing to do.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Really
I just like I listen to it sometimes and I'm like, how does no one ever talk about this? He literally has an entire conversation with a fake Tupac on his album.
Do you listen to Steely Dan?
No.
You would for sure like Steely Dan, and that album makes me wish that hip hop was happening, like for real happening, while Steely Dan was around. Because To Pimp a Butterfly is a lot of genius on the part of Kendrick, but also him saying like, I'm gonna make a rap album while Thundercat is happening, and I'm gonna have this guy do a bunch of smart ass shit and like nerd the fuck out, and we're gonna make something crazy,
man.
And like Thundercat,
shout out Thundercat.
Thundercat is like so Steely Dan is a musical duo, but like Thundercat is today's Steely Dan.
Okay,
and he's a He's a huge, although Thundercat was in like suicidal tendencies and like metal bands and everything. Thundercat is a huge Steely Dan, Michael McDonald guy.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
I think that I feel confident in saying that we are the first hockey podcast in America to have a like 10-minute rap discussion involving somebody wearing a Tate McRae sweatshirt.
That is a great. That's probably right.
I feel
will
very
say,
confident in that.
There were a lot of, as we were having that conversation, the chat was doing, there was a Logan Future.
Oh, no
Logan
way.
Future.
That's
didn't-
amazing.
that did
I
not-
saw that in the chat, but it did
didn't-
not
yeah,
register.
Didn't me either. I like that a lot.
Somebody asked Nas greater than Tupac. I like old Nas. I like new Nas. Like I like hip hop is dead shit that he was doing with like Will I Am. I think is cool.
I think Tupac is it might be the single most like important rapper of all time. I don't know that makes him the best rapper.
Small
ever.
sample size.
Yeah, I mean, I listen. If we're getting like nothing bothers me more than when people write off the importance of Drake, because Drake, like I think Drake is one of the most important rappers of all time. Not the best, but like I don't think people realize how important Drake was to making rap like super mainstream in the late 2000s.
Yeah.
He was a full-blown pop star, like getting rap tracks on.
I don't know.
But, like, wasn't- I mean,
Pop
rap
radio.
was pretty mainstream when Drake arrived.
And like Tunchi was like making pop
Yes.
songs. Tunchi
Yeah.
made
But,
fucking
like,
How to Love.
Drake,
I think-
Drake wouldn't have had the platform if it weren't
No,
for Lil
yeah,
Wayne, who
I
already
mean,
made rap like
for
very
sure. I
mainstream.
mean, that's just like a little bit of how music, the world works. Like you build off the people that came before you. But like I think Drake was very important in like when you go places, like you go to like I distinctly remember like going to like carnivals and stuff growing up. And for the longest time, the music that you would hear was like pop music. It was like Tayo Cruz type stuff. And now if you go to a lot of things like that, like you'll hear a lot of hip hop, like a lot of Drake kind of hip hop where it is a lot poppier, obviously. But
I will say Drake did change things in like my stupid opinion. Like he made rap a little bit more soft.
I think
yeah,
he
he's
made
a
he made
little,
rap a lot more accessible to like white people. And it was like, I mean, he has
Let's not sleep on Will Smith, please.
fair enough. That is fair. Will Smith deserves some credit too, but
He wouldn't even light a cigar.
Yeah.
dude, Will Smith is so
And then he fucking wrote a song about it.
What a loser!
He's like, I can't do this.
It's just for the look.
That's
I don't
why-
light it.
Shout out. Well, yeah, I literally Eminem was about to come out of my mouth because Will Smith doesn't need a cuss in his rap to sell records. But
Well, I
fuck
do.
him.
So fuck him
Yeah,
and fuck you too.
Yeah,
Think I
such a
give a
good line.
damn about a Grammy? Half you critics can't even stomach me,
let alone stand me.
But Slim, wouldn't you? What if you win? Wouldn't
Oh
it be
no,
weird?
I hate this.
Why? So I could just
Why?
Why,
So you
so
could
y'all
just lie to
fly
get me here, so you could sit me here next to Britney Spears. Christina Aguilera better switch me chairs
Yeah,
so I could
yeah,
sit
yeah.
next to Carson Daly and Fred Durst, hear him argue over who she gave head to first.
Yeah.
That wasn't a nice thing of him to say.
No, it wasn't. Dude, Eminem is like, you know, yeah, talk about making rap accessible to white people.
He's one of the best, but he has some terrible albums.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
While we are talking about playoff seeding, I should say, got to put the Golden Knights on asshole watch and even ask, are they that good? Have they been that good? They're going to be good.
Yeah,
They are not that good,
Those
and
are
they
two
haven't
way
been
different
good.
questions.
Right. They're going to be good. They're going to
Yeah.
get to the playoffs. They're going to have Mark Stone. They don't currently have their starting goaltender and their number one defenseman. So, like, I will say, if I had known that Alex Pringel wasn't playing last night, I would not have hammered the Golden Knights the way that I did. They jumped out to a 2-0 lead, blew a 2-0 lead, blew a 3-2 lead, didn't get a point, didn't help themselves, and certainly didn't help any other Pacific teams who are trying to win the Pacific. That's a good win for the Canucks, but that is like a fucking real asshole loss for the Golden Knights.
Let me ask you this question based off of kind of the original question.
No, they had a 2-0 lead. Yeah, I said that. They said they had a 2-0 lead and a 3-2 lead.
Yeah, I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. Who do you have more faith in being able to kind of flip a switch if we're talking about wildcard teams? The Tampa Bay Lightning, who have historically had that switch where, like, we don't really care about the regular season. Once playoffs are around, we'll show up. Or the Vegas Golden Knights.
Lightning, because I'm more confident in their goaltending. Golden Knights have such a better roster.
Vasilevsky been sneaky not very good this year.
Yeah, but I guess I'm counting on him to flip a switch too. But I think the fucking Golden Knights are going to make a run. The last night did get me asking the question, though, like, what if they don't? We haven't even kicked that around at all. We've penciled them and the Stars in as the two teams that are going to just bulldoze whatever they face.
Well, it's hard just because you don't have like the final picture of what the Golden Knights will be, because once the playoffs start, obviously Tomas Hertl made his VGK debut last night, had an assist. But it's really hard to project what the Knights will be when like they have so many missing pieces from their roster. Even if you're questioning when Mark Stone returns, stuff like that.
And let me give you the Golden Knights' possible first round matchups. They could play the Oilers.
Yeah.
They could play the Kings, or they could play the Dallas Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not good for anybody. Like you're talking about bad matchups for Vegas. Those are bad matchups for the other teams too. If you're getting a wild card in the first round, you don't want it to be fucking Vegas.
Oh yeah, the Stars should be irate if that happens. But I mean, that was the Western Conference Final, right? Last year?
Yep.
Stars in Vegas.
And Dallas took them to 6 games.
If that happens, though, boy, oh boy, what a fucking... The first round is crazy no matter what, because you're watching a million games at once, but I will not miss a second of that series.
I've seen people complaining about like the Bruins getting Tampa in the first round would be unfair to the Bruins. And in a way, yes, because inevitably that first wild card is going to be a much better team that probably than the third team in the Metro. But Tampa hasn't been that good this year.
Yeah.
Been carried by the top of their lineup. Nikita Kucherov, obviously, we'll get into the hard discussion in a little bit, but like, I don't think that Tampa's all that good. And I know that they have that historic ability to flip a switch in the playoffs, but I don't know how scared I am of getting Tampa in the first round.
Banged up on the back end. Duclair has been a fucking godsend, but can only take you so far. I'm just more about Vasilevsky there, but we'll see. I mean, maybe come the end of the postseason or come the end of the regular season, Aiden Hill, healthy, awesome. Pietrangelo, set it and forget it. You're like, they're going to fucking beat whoever they play, unless it's the Stars. So I am a little annoyed with them. As we mentioned, the Oilers still control Pacific seeding, because though the Canucks got 2 points last night to move ahead to a 5-point lead, the Oilers have 2 games in hand and play the Canucks on Saturday. All I want, Sean, from your fucking dumbass Coyotes is for Saturday's Oilers Canucks game to mean something. And the Oilers have the Knights tomorrow and the Coyotes Friday. The Canucks have the Coyotes tomorrow, and then I believe are off until Saturday because they've played so many fucking games. If the Oilers beat the Canucks, if the Coyotes beat the Canucks and the Oilers win both games this week, Saturday will be for the Pacific Division lead. And it will also mean that regulation and overtime wins is going to be a photo finish.
Why do I feel like you just have like a wall in your apartment where it's just laid out scenarios of how the Oilers can win the division?
I come in early and I bang out every possible thing we're going to talk about. You think that I wasn't fucking...
I don't question your preparedness.
You think I wasn't fucking checking like what year Pimp Butterfly came out before we had this show?
No, but you show up every day.
It's called preparation.
You show up every day and you're like, here's how the Oilers can still win the division.
They can.
And then when anybody fucks up that plan, whether it's like the Golden Knights, whether it's Vancouver, you're like, how about these fucking assholes?
Yeah, that's what happens.
All of your eggs are in the Oilers winning the division basket.
We leave. DJ goes just to figure out playoff scenarios for the Oilers, and Pete is just looking at former vice presidential candidates to decide who's hottest.
And staring at the sun.
Staring at the sun.
We have very different post-show routines.
Yeah. No, I fucking rollerblade for 10 hours.
I mean, at this point, how important is it to you for the Oilers to win that division? Because it's hard for me to even care. They're going to get a hard first round match. Like every team in the Western Conference is going to have a hard first round matchup.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We should say none of this fucking matters seeding wise because it's the NHL. And
None of this matters. We're all going to die anyway.
if you're good and you're going to make a run, you're going to make a run. Unless you're the 2019 Bruins, like you're in a lot of cases, it's not about who you end up playing. It's about just, are you that fucking team? 2019 Bruins weren't that fucking team, but they got such an easy road that they almost won the Stanley Cup. That I think is more the exception than the rule. If the Oilers are going to be fucking world beaters, then they are going to take off and do what they're going to do anyway. I just like the story of them winning the division after how they started. And I like the story of the Canucks not winning the division after leading the entire fucking season.
Just chunking it at the finish line.
And then how does that affect Jack Adams discussions?
Yeah, I mean, we had the Jack Adams discussion not too long ago, and I was surprised at how many people, and like people that I respect, specifically, I think it was Ryan Pinder, was like, Tocchet is going to win in a runaway. And I think that he's got the probably the clearest path to winning the Jack Adams, but I just don't. I can't imagine it being a runaway. Although now John Tortorella is probably out of the equation, which is wild because like 2 weeks ago we were like, Tor's got a really, really good case, and then in 2 weeks, like if they don't make the playoffs, he's not going to win Jack Adams. I don't think. But I think Tocchet's going to win.
Somebody brought up something that I had planned for yesterday's show, but cut it for timing purposes. We'll quickly hit it before we move to Hart. Somebody said we're not talking about Alexander Georgiev.
I was just going to say, because I started scrolling through Twitter, it seems like As fans are not very happy with Georgiev.
I don't know if you saw on Friday against the Oilers threw a tantrum.
No.
He had a tantrum.
I don't think
he got
I
pulled
saw it.
after having a tantrum. And he's been having tantrums. That guy yells.
He's starting again tonight. Bednar said he's starting again tonight. And yeah, I just typed his name into Twitter, and it's a lot of Avs fans just being like, "What the fuck's going on with this guy?"
We were there first.
I was gonna say
we were there first.
I was gonna say, hate to tell you,
we also ignored like the 2 month span where he was a fucking awesome goalie. He was really, really good.
This has always been my thing with the
All-Star
Avs.
break.
Is they're in Colorado. People just kind of forget they exist and don't talk about them.
Well, we've talked about the Avalanche. Their goalie has bad behavior, should not have been an all-star. I was a little annoyed that he went on a run after the all-star break because I was waiting, but as Sean said, no one says anything about them. I was waiting for someone to be like, oh yeah, so this guy shouldn't have been an all-star, and then I would have been like, it's for what they do before the fucking all-star game, you big old dummy.
But I mean, I'm not opposed to Georgiev being an asshole. I mean, it's looking increasingly likely that Jordan Binnington will have a nice early summer, and so I want at least one asshole goalie in the playoffs.
Yes, I'd like maybe Stu can be a little menacing.
No, I don't want Stu Skinner to be an asshole.
I think Stu's very nice.
Yeah. Let me
What if Jeremy
scan the
Swayman
list
starts
of-
like becoming a dickhead?
he wants to smoke. I'm looking down the list of goaltenders that
Swayman's
I
not
would
a
want to be assholes. Connor Hellebuck being an asshole would be awesome.
That's a good one.
That'd be a good one.
I feel like I don't know a whole lot of anything about Otter. So if he wanted to just be an asshole,
Nah, he seems like a very nice boy.
That's kind of what I thought, but I couldn't tell how much of that was just based off what I think of actual otters. Like whenever I think of him, he's got an otter on his helmet. Like I just think of an actual otter, and they're
Oh, you know who I want to be an asshole is Alex Nedeljkovic.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Make the playoffs and be like,
I believe that is he playing for a contract? Is he in a contract year? It would be funny if he was just like,
I would assume
I
he's on
I got that dog in me.
contract year every year.
Hey, that's
Maybe.
not nice.
He signed a 1 year,
Okay.
Yeah.
$1.5 million.
So a
So
player that signs 1 year deals.
Alex Nedeljkovic could be on big time spotlight watch heading into the playoffs if the Penguins get in there.
Right, because if they get in there, people will say, and this was the man.
Yep,
This was the one.
he'll be the new Alex Lyon.
Also, put a little respect on Nedeljkovic's name. He's signed, since his entry-level contract, he signed 2 other contracts, both 2 years.
Ooh, who's his agent? That's a good agent. Okay, Hart Watch. Austin Matthews scored his 65th goal of the season yesterday. Said earlier in the show, scoring 70 should count for something. It should count for some sort of finalist situation. Sean, if you wouldn't mind throwing up the latest stats. As you see, Nathan McKinnon has 4 games remaining, 133 points. He's the leader in the clubhouse betting wise, minus 275. Kucherov leads the league in points, plus 350. Connor McDavid has 99 assists. He's plus 750. And then a distant fourth is Austin Matthews. He's got 65 goals. He's got 5 games to get to 70. I think we all assume he will do that. He's on pace for 71. And his odds, betting-wise, are plus 2,500. The only other person that DraftKings lists is Sidney Crosby. And I want to say it's like plus 10,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be one of those 3 guys. I'm taking Austin Matthews out of there. I said earlier in the year, if he hits 70, like he kind of has to be a finalist because it's 70 goals is a fucking ridiculous mark in 2024. And, you know, the NHL hasn't had a 70 goal scorer since 1993, 31 years. He tied last night Alex Ovechkin's single season record. So if he scores 1 more goal, he's like the best goal scorer in the league by far. My big takeaway though is, has anybody picked a worse year to score 65 to 70 goals? If Austin Matthews had this year last year, or I mean, he may have, the argument too, you can make the argument he picked the wrong year to sign his fucking contract extension. This is the final year of his current deal. He obviously already signed that extension, but man, imagine if he scored 70 goals in a contract year.
Has anybody picked a worse year to have 100 assists? Like, we are going to have people score 70 goals and have 100 assists and not win the Hart.
70 goals is so much more impressive than 100 assists.
Absolutely. But 100 assists is something that hasn't been done in this era at all. That's literally has not been done.
But, I mean, how many assists does Kucherov have?
Kucherov has 93.
So he could hit 100 assists. If you have 2 people hitting 100 assists in the same season, it becomes a little less impressive.
It becomes, but again, it still hasn't been done.
Assists isn't impressive.
Yeah,
but I mean,
Gretzky, I want to say.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think it's more impressive Kucherov's numbers in comparison to the rest of his team, because he's got like what 51 points more than the
Gretzky was the last to do it, and Mario Lemieux also did it.
Kucherov has 51 points more than the next guy on his team, which is kind of fucking
if you do
nuts.
MVP stuff, I think that Kucherov and McKinnon would be the 2 leaders. But I don't know. It's always tough because you know who the fucking best player was this season? Connor McDavid. He's just always the best player.
Yeah, I mean, but I also think that there's going to be maybe some voter exhaustion with Connor McDavid, and McKinnon's been like the guy who's everybody's been waiting to finally have an MVP season. This is his MVP season. I think that's going to actually mean something, especially when you consider his usage. But I mean, Kucherov does. I feel like we've been disrespectful to Kucherov in how we've kind of omitted his name at points. We've lightly discussed him, but the Hart discussion that we had a couple weeks ago was mainly McDavid versus McKinnon and who makes a stronger case. Kucherov's got a really strong case, especially playing on the wing.
Yeah. McDavid fucked himself with the little drought he went on. He really could have pulled away with the points lead and made it difficult, because then you would have had to factor in where the team came from and everything. And then I think people would have actually been able to talk themselves into him winning the Hart. But it's going to be McKinnon. I said when we last talked about it that it should be McDavid. I think it should be McKinnon.
How much do you factor in like team success when you consider Hart voting?
Again, former longtime Hart voter.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
I know how this fucking works. It's just, did you have an awesome season? That's it.
You got to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but those guys do make the playoffs.
Yeah, usually.
Interestingly,
kind of like quarterbacks in football.
Scrolling through Twitter, and fun stat, I guess stats about this exact topic. Kucherov, the Lightning are minus 26 with him off the ice. None of the other candidates, their teams even come close to that.
To be having a negative goal differential.
Yeah, like the Rangers are minus 7 without Panarin, which he includes in here, and then the Avs are minus 8 without McKinnon. But
That goes back to my
without
point that like I'm not really scared of the Lightning. They're not a very good
without
team
Kucherov, they don't have a lot going.
without Nikita Kucherov having
50.2% of Tampa Bay's goals have been Nikita Kucherov.
So that leads to the like how do you evaluate the MVP discussion? Is it the guy who's most valuable to his team, or is it just the overall best player? And I know that conversation is had every fucking year.
We know what the answer is. It's always the latter. I wanted it to be the former, but I just know it isn't. So when you vote, you have to fucking like. I think the rules aren't fair, but you gotta. It's like abstaining from voting. It's like, well, like if you want to fucking change shit, you gotta actually even if you don't like the game and the rules, you gotta participate if you want to make any sort of impact. It ends up being whoever the best player was, and it's only, as I said, it's only the player that's most valuable to their team when there isn't a player who goes the fuck off and Jamie Benn leads the league with 87 points. And then you say, okay, well, and who is actually the most valuable player? It was Carey Price. There you go. The chat, by the way, keeping us honest, way more common to score 70 goals than to get 100 assists. So although I agree, I am more impressed by 70 goals than 100 assists. That is a point that is fairly taken.
What are we talking about, like, historically?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
it's like
it was
2 million
so
years
easy
ago
to score fucking back in the day when goalies wore throw pillows.
Well,
Everyone
but
just
I
didn't
mean,
know how to skate.
scoring unassisted goals.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. In theory, if it's easy to score, it's easy to assist.
Yeah, but there was just like all like breakaway goals.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, hockey used to be played by a bunch of idiots, and anybody who used to play hockey was stupid and was wasting their time.
I just think that it's way more impressive in my mind to have 70 goals, especially because you don't get secondary goals. You get secondary assists.
That's going to be a stat at some point.
2 assists.
Secondary goals is going to be a stat?
Secondary goals.
Oh, yeah. Secondary goals.
And like if you were stat humping, they're like, all right, we'll give you a half. Empty net goals
2
don't
assists
count.
for every goal, 1 goal for every goal.
A 3-2-1 goals point system. I think that would be very fair. Do we have any sort of chain update? I see the Boston Bruins.
We do have a chain update. The Boston Bruins currently hold the Chaos chain, which is both exciting for the Bruins, but also frustrating because none of us have the Bruins.
It feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity that the Chaos chain is being played for tonight in Boston, and just nothing really happening for it.
We could go. We own chains.
We're just gonna show up with chains and be like, you wouldn't get it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the chains that we own are. Wait, I think you guys have Hockey East chains.
I do.
He does.
I have a Chicken Fingers chain.
That's way better.
Yeah. You have that?
I think I got rid of it.
Oh, whoa. Dumb.
What's a Chicken Fingers chain?
It's just a bucket of chicken tenders on
So
a
the
chain.
Garden sent us both care packages that were chicken finger based.
That's hard.
It was like, it says like Lucky's Chicken. And
I got the one that says just Tendies. And it's in the Celtics font, and it just says Tendies on it.
That's cool. I like that.
Well, I have a shirt that says that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm talking about chains. So wait, maybe you didn't get a chain.
I think I just threw it out.
They sent me a chain that is a bucket of chicken.
Damn. I can't believe you throw something like that out.
I don't keep stuff.
I keep literally everything. But that in particular seems like something.
I keep something for like 2 weeks with like the promise that maybe I'll use it, and then after 2 weeks, if I don't use it, I throw it out.
You should see the inside of my very small studio apartment. It looks like a goddamn sports museum. It's just covered in shit.
Tell you what, I'm not ruling out the hockey game tonight. The slate might not be the best.
Should we get to the slate grade?
Okay. All right, let's do a slate grade presented by Game Time. What if we replaced, I don't know, Jim, with like Polly's mom's friend who Polly kills? Remember?
No.
He's robbing her because he finds out she keeps her money under the mattress, and she catches him, and she's gonna call the police on him, and he fucking kills her. And when she realizes he's gonna kill her, there's an old woman. She's like, "Oh no! Oh no!"
The Sopranos had some of the worst fucking death scenes.
I'm gonna watch Sopranos this summer.
Yo,
I'm just gonna do it.
Vito killing Jackie Jr. is like one of the funniest death scenes I've ever seen.
Wait, what with Junior?
Vito killing Jackie Jr.
Oh yeah.
The gun that he uses looks like a
Yes!
Lego gun. It's so bad.
That is truly the biggest. What were the Sopranos thinking when they made this?
I can't go through another season of this show having no idea what you're talking about.
Sean,
These
I'm going to use a derogatory term, so let's grow up here. If you watch The Sopranos, it's over for these hoes.
I was like, where is this going? But
No, they use a lot of slurs that show,
Oh,
but
no,
I'm not
I
going to
know,
use
I
any of
know.
those.
I know. I just I thought you were gonna do like an Italian slur. I was like, hell yeah.
No.
I'm
Proof
Italian.
saying like, hell yeah, I'm about to get first chair on this show.
Proof that the last
What?
people you're allowed to be racist against are the Italians.
First off,
Yeah, I don't care for that, by the way. To
My-
get a little bass DJ, I don't stand for that, but
I am Italian. My grandpa's from Italy.
I'm also Italian. The
it's-
only non-Italian on
it's
this
fine.
podcast.
I just don't feel good when people are like, hey, the only people you could be racist towards is Italians, so I'm going to be racist towards them. And I'm like, so you just acknowledged that, like, you're going to be racist and then declared you're going to be racist. Both of those feel bad.
But
to me.
even
Italian isn't a
even
race.
as an Italian,
Italian isn't a race.
Yeah, it's not really.
It's not a race.
And like even as an Italian, most of the Italian quote unquote racism jokes are very funny.
Yeah, I mean, they're very cartoonish.
Yeah, right.
In a way that I would hope Italians would say, neither I nor anybody who I've ever met in my life is actually like
It feels
that.
more like just participation than hate
Hmm.
on the Italian quote unquote racism.
You know the Anthony Jeselnik joke about why he's not a racist?
No.
He says, like, I'm not a racist. In fact, I hate racism. I don't even get it. How could you hate a whole group of people because of how they all are? That's what that's what the Italian thing. It's like the Italian thing is like the opposite of that, because I feel that most things I'm like, this is just you're making fun of the character Mario
Yeah, pretty
from
much.
the
Yeah.
Mario video games. But I hope everybody can just be nice to each other and get along. The gun that Vito uses, I love that the game time thing has been up on the screen the whole time. The gun that Vito uses is like a Sir Collect-a-Lot
Yes.
fashioned like toy gun.
It looks like something that you would pretend to be a gun in a stick up,
Yeah.
but you were too much of a pussy to
you
actually
have it
buy
in
a
your
gun.
pocket.
Yeah.
I do have to remind people, by the way, if you're not subscribed to us on not just YouTube, obviously we want YouTube subs because that's the most difficult to attain. But if you're not subscribed to us on the various podcasting apps, that would go a long way, and would love 5-star reviews, because I forgot until I checked the other day that early on in this show's infancy, probably a lot of current users, listeners don't know this. Somebody, we don't know who, tanked our ratings. So even though we have a bunch of reviews and ratings
Where is this?
on Spotify,
Oh, Spotify?
we're a 4.6 out of 5.
Yeah, famously it was the libs.
We blamed the libs.
And Coyotes fans a little bit.
What's that?
I said and Coyotes fans a little bit.
Coyotes fans we thought could have been it. You know who it could have been? Could have been that little, you know what, Alex Georgiev. Could have been throwing a fit while I was throwing a
The
fit. that he was
timeline does line up.
Yeah. Speaking of goalies and our people, did you see Jacob Markstrom and Zach Hyman getting into it all game on Saturday? It was
No.
great. They were just like fighting the whole game, and at the end of each period, they were like talking to each other, but they were both smiling. I love to see Zach Hyman smile. He's got a great smile, but they were just like, "Look, I'm gonna fucking kill you, man. I get it. I'm gonna kill you too, buddy.
The game is the game.
The game is the game.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you in a little bit. I'm gonna be a little pain in your butt." It's
I love that. Good for
There's
them.
13 games tonight, which is a
Nobody
huge number.
transitions like
You
you
got to
do.
think that there are a lot of amazing games, right? Wrong. 7 p.m. U.S. Hurricanes at Bruins. That's your best game of the evening. 7 p.m. U.S. Capitals at Red Wings. There's some good playoff implications there. Off to a hot start. Let's continue it. It doesn't continue. 7 p.m. U.S. Senators at Panthers. 7 p.m. U.S. Flyers at Canadiens. 7 p.m. Maple Leafs at Devils. Maple Leafs on a back-to-back. 7 p.m. Rangers at Islanders. That's a good one. 7 p.m. Lightning at Blue Jackets. 8 p.m. Sabres at Stars. 8 p.m. Jets at Predators. 9:30 p.m. Wild at Avalanche. 10 p.m. Kings at Ducks. 10 p.m. Coyotes at Kraken. 10:30 p.m. Flames at Sharks. Structure, it's very front-loaded. There are call it an old man drinking because it's a 7-7. 7 games at 7 p.m.
I mean, I
Seagram's
like the
7 and
structure.
7 up.
I like the structure. You've obviously got a good amount of games at 7, but then you've got 2 8s, a 9:30, 2 10s, and a 10:30. Structure-wise, very strong.
It's a good structure for if you are attending a 7 p.m. game. So if any of us go to this game, then at 10 p.m., you can come back and watch. Unfortunately,
The problem is none of
Bad
those games.
games.
None of those games are good. Like structure-wise, it's good, but content and quality-wise for the actual games, not so hot. Especially, it falls off a pretty steep cliff.
I like the Kings and Ducks as teams. Boy, the chat knows where I'm going with this. They are just positive that this is getting a certain grade. I'll watch the Kings and Ducks because I like the Kings and I like the Ducks. But yeah, you said it, chat. It's an A- for me, dog. Any disagreement there?
Nope.
Any pushback?
Nope.
But Dave, the structure. This is an easy A-.
I am happy that there's 13 games. Two games last night. Blech.
Huge 1999 Stanley Cup rematch.
1999.
Or maybe 98?
What are you talking about? Lightning and Blue Jackets?
Star Sabres?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there will be think anybody will be in the crease?
It is very funny to think about the fact that if that game happened today, it would have resulted in like a 10-minute ref review. And that would have just been the Stanley Cup.
Somebody said the chain update is equivalent to paying taxes in that I don't understand it and I don't partake in it. That's kind of what I want from the chain.
Yeah.
We're never not going to talk about it.
Chain game tonight. Carolina Hurricanes have a chance to get it back. They just had it. Then they lost to the Bruins. Then the Bruins beat the Panthers. And now the Bruins are facing the Carolina Hurricanes again. So Carolina could take it right back.
If we go to the game tonight, do we all wear chains?
I'm not going to the game tonight.
Why? You're such a... Why?
13 other games.
Because he's going to the Red Sox game.
I'm not going to the Red
Huge
Sox
Red
game,
Sox
I'll tell you
guy
that.
right here. Huge believer. I don't know if you guys know this. Pete off the air says the Sox going to win the World Series.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Huge
I
believer.
never said that.
He's on his Imagine Dragons. He's going to break me off piece of that believer.
Jesus Christ.
Break me off a piece of that believer.
I saw a video yesterday
of them tracking reference vocals.
Yeah.
I wanted to yell at people about that. Like they were like the engineers laughing at him. They were all probably laughing at him because
it's ridiculous.
This also happens when like bands are tracking things. There'll be like a really high part that they know they're like, this is going to sound ridiculous, isolated, and they're probably laughing as they're doing it because that's probably like quadruple tracked. He probably sat there for 20 minutes going, "Bring me off a bit," and then he can. It's all over the place. They're going to tune it after, so it's fine.
They're not laughing at him. They're laughing at the process.
Yes, they're like, this is so funny.
And guess what happened? The process led to them making so much money.
Imagine Dragons is becoming my Nickelback.
Yeah, that's fair.
They're not that bad. And they are pretty bad.
They're not good.
They've got some good songs. They've got, well, I don't know how many good songs they have. Radioactive is a good production, legitimately. I remember the year that came out, I was like, I'm okay with this winning like a Song of the Year or like Record of the Year Grammy. Grammys certainly can do much worse.
I was a high school boy at the time, so the music was made for me.
The music was what?
Made for me. Like,
Yeah.
Imagine Dragons.
It was also everywhere. It was inescapable.
Very high school boyish.
You know what I like about that song? It implements the reverse snare. So it does like a normal snare and then a reverse snare. So it's just like a snare. They play a snare and then the audio is reversed. So it's like,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
it's a really cool sound.
A little bit of hockey news, I guess.
Give it to us.
I guess I was gonna say friend of the show, but really just friend of you guys. Bob Stauffer tweeted Connor McDavid not on the ice for a full practice for the Edmonton Oilers. No.
Did he find out about our Hart conversation and say, yeah, forget it?
The replies are full of Oilers fans panicking, but
Maintenance day?
no one knows. He didn't say why.
Interesting.
Respond to him and say, or you know what you should do? Our friends.
We should call Johnny Lazarus and be like, hey, what do you
What do
hearing?
you got?
Yeah. What do you? And he'll be like, I asked a girl to drink. She doesn't drink, and I couldn't think of what else to do. So I haven't responded in like 2 days. I think she's mad at me. I love Johnny Lazarus.
I love him too.
What if Johnny Lazarus gets too big? I thought about this yesterday.
If he just becomes a ginormous insider, I feel like
not like an insider, but just like a media voice.
I think that he's I believe in his character enough to
that he won't get big.
No, I believe in his character enough to bring us with him on the ride.
Yeah,
unlike Tate McRae.
Yeah, exactly.
Tate
before
McRae.
we get out of here, we need a like spike. We haven't done that yet. So if you're hanging around, you made it to the end of the show. Congratulations. And now it's time to reward you with a like spike. It's all about you. It's not about us. You get to hit the like button. Not for us, but for you. So 3, 2, 1. Hit that thumbs up button right below the video player. And also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do that as well. We're excited about the playoffs. We're trying to get our numbers up for the playoffs. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that now. We'll love you forever.
We have amazing things coming for the playoffs.
Yeah.
We can say officially, even though we don't know what this day is going to look like, we're going to do another long-ass stream the opening day of the playoffs, which is going to be a Saturday. But we're going to be in here probably a little bit before. I'm thinking, why don't you show plan on the air? I was thinking 2 hours before puck drop of the first game.
I would say even more before that.
5 hours before.
You're saying live before.
Yeah.
Live 2 hours before? Yeah, I think that's fine. We're going to have a big like playoff preview type stream that's not going to be your standard like, let's preview this matchup. Blah, 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 blah. No, we're going to do that.
No!
We'll do that stuff, but like it won't be on the stream. The stream will be more for the unhinged fun games, activities,
This
kind of
is
stuff.
that playoff preview that asks, does J. Cole have any good albums?
Yes.
He went platinum with no features.
Which on a bad album. I didn't like that music at all.
I didn't love that album.
I didn't enjoy it at all. That was kind of what made me be like, I don't really like J. Cole. I think he's overrated.
Yeah,
But
we have lots of content coming for the playoffs, both from a streaming perspective. We're still going to be doing this show quite a bit, officially and unofficially. We'll also be doing it on Fridays, which is going to be important. And there's going to be extra standalone YouTube content. We're gonna use some of the YouTube magic and make standalone videos, the more produced types of things. So there's going to be a lot of fun things on there. So be on the YouTube if you aren't yet. And if you are just a YouTube person, we love all of you. Make sure you're subscribed in the other places. And anything that we post that you like, be it on social media, wherever, share it. It helps us a lot. We love doing this sort of thing. We love getting the resources to travel to the places we want to travel. So everything helps us. It makes the show better, and you end up winning because it is all about you. We will talk to you tomorrow. Go Coyotes.
We all silly like the mayor.